Hey y'all, it's your girl, Dr. J, back with another episode of Let It Flow with Dr. J. God has been speaking to me, and He gave me a powerful word to share with His people that are experiencing rejection. Rejection is one of those things that, if we're truly honest with ourselves, is something that we really don't like. It's one of those things that doesn't feel good, and it can cause us to feel discouraged, upset, sad, and a whole range of emotions that leaves us feeling anything but good. Rejection is one of those things that has the potential to mess with our heads, y'all. Mess with our heads to make us feel unworthy, unqualified, depressed, embarrassed, and even anxious. It can make us feel isolated, and it can cause us to doubt who we are and what we're capable of. Rejection can bring us down to our lowest point, and it can leave us in a very desperate, lonely, and hurtful place. It's something that is hard to deal with, and it can feel overwhelming, especially if you continue to face rejection time and time again. No matter how it comes, if you continue to be rejected, you feel the repercussions of it. But there's another side to rejection, a side that can be often overlooked because, quite frankly, society tells us that rejection is a bad or negative thing. And when it first happens or happens repeatedly in our lives, our feelings, thoughts, and emotions start to tell us the same thing. It starts to tell us that this is a bad thing, this is a bad place, and we should not be here. However, there is something beautiful about rejection. You see, rejection can also be viewed as protection. Sometimes we need rejection to ensure that we are not going in the wrong direction, entertaining the wrong people, doing the wrong things, and walking into the wrong places. While it may be difficult to handle and uncomfortable at times and even frustrating, rejection is necessary and it serves a purpose. Now, I'll be honest, I'm going to keep it real. I don't like rejection myself, and I have experienced it and adversity more times than I care to count. But there are also so many times where I look back and I say, God, I thank you for closing that door. Thank you for that situation not working out the way that I desired for it to, or how I thought that it should have worked out. Thank you. Thank you. For instance, I've had jobs that I have applied for and really wanted and was qualified for, but received emails saying, thank you for your interest. Times where I have gotten to the final round and gotten emails, thank you for your interest, but we've decided to go with another candidate. In that moment, I was crushed. And when it happened multiple times, I felt so low. And I started to question myself and if I was actually qualified or good enough for the roles that I was applying for. I was even angry with God at certain points for allowing me to experience so much rejection. But later down the line, some of those jobs had mass layoffs. Some of them were posted within a month or so of me being rejected. And some I saw reposted again within 6 months or a year of me being rejected. And even there were times where I encountered people who were employed there and they were miserable. And some even told me, be thankful that you didn't get the job. I can also recount times where there have been friendships with women and relationships with men that I desired, but I was rejected. And when I look back, those same people were living in misery or dealing with things that they never thought they would have to deal with. For example, one of those men that I desired to date is currently serving a life sentence for killing his partner. And just saying that aloud makes me stop and think because when I saw it on the news years ago, all I could do was cry for the victim and pray for their family. But in the same breath, I had to tell God, thank you. And I still tell God, thank you for everything that did happen, because that could have been me. There are so many situations that I could think about that in the moment made me feel like my world was going to end. Situations that made me cry and feel ashamed and broken. But when I look back, I'm so grateful for the rejection and for things going left. I'm thankful because what looked like and felt like a loss and rejection was really a gain, because I didn't lose anything or anyone of value. I didn't lose anyone or anything that was supposed to be in my life for an extended period of time. I didn't lose anything that was supposed to be a continuous part of my journey to help me accomplish all that God has predestined me to do and who He has predestined me to be. I didn't lose. And that's how we must look at rejection. Even when it doesn't feel good and when it makes us feel like the odds are against us or like we're losing the fight, we must look for good in every situation. Now we are allowed to have our moments. Let's keep it real. We are allowed to have our moments. We are human. So we are allowed to feel exactly how we feel about whatever happened or did not happen that led to rejection, but we must tell God, "Thank you for what we've experienced," and rejoice in the fact that there is purpose in this pain. There is purpose in this hurt. There is purpose in the rejection. There is nothing that happens in our lives that comes as a shock or surprise to God, and nothing that we could ever experience that He does not feel, see, or understand. And I'm sure if you stop right now and looked back over your life, and every time you have faced rejection, there is something you can give God thanks for regarding that situation. You can thank Him for what did not happen, for who did walk away, and for not giving you everything you thought you needed, wanted, or desired. And you could also give Him thanks for not being in this situation or past situations alone, because the Bible tells us that we are not the only ones who face rejection, hardships, or adversity. David and Joseph are two people who face all of those things and more. They were both rejected by their families for different reasons. Joseph's brothers rejected him and did everything they could to get rid of him because they were jealous of him and they saw how much their father loved him. David was counted out and regarded as just a shepherd boy because he couldn't possibly slay Goliath. Not him, not little old David. But even though David and Joseph faced rejection and jealousy and were viewed as less than they truly were, there was still purpose in their rejection. The same God that knew them before they were formed in their mother's womb, and the same God that predestined them for greatness, knew they would face rejection. He knew they would face adversity and hardship. He knew what they had to go through to become who God was calling them to be and to get to where He was calling them to go. The things that they dealt with may have come as a shock to them, and it may have even been overwhelming at times and seemed unfair, but God still had a plan and a purpose for their lives, and He knew that they would receive greater in their latter days. Even when we think about Jesus and the rejection He faced, He was lied on, beaten, spat on, nailed to the cross, rejected by man, and crucified. He faced far worse rejection than any of us ever could imagine or even deal with in our lives. But despite all of this, on the third day, He rose again with all power in His hands. Instead of dying in a tomb, He rose again, and God's word accomplished exactly what He said that it would. He still took His place and was seated at the right hand of the Father. On the cross, He may have asked, "Why have you forsaken me?" But He still got up. He still took on the burdens of the people who hated Him and all that He stood for. People who didn't recognize who He was and why He was sent to them. People who didn't know the power that He possessed and the love that He really had for them. So when we think about Jesus, when we think about Joseph and David and others in the Bible who faced rejection, we must remember what happened on the other side of rejection. We must remember that God knew what he was doing when they were going through their situations, and he knew what he was doing when they came out of those situations. Though they were all rejected and had to go through some things, there was still purpose in their rejection. So even where you are right now, if you're experiencing rejection, whether it's being rejected for jobs, rejected by family, rejected by people who you thought were your friends, rejected by the bank for a home or auto loan, rejected by a love interest, or facing rejection in any way, shape, or form, be of good cheer. Be grateful for the rejection, even when it hurts. Be thankful for what you are being shielded from and redirected to. Be grateful for the rejection because it is a setup for God to do something even bigger and even more amazing in your life. And while you're being grateful, rejoice in the Lord. Rejoice because the Lord still knows the plans that he has for your life, and he knows how to prosper you, how to make you win. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that the Lord knows the plans that he has for us. Plans to prosper us and not to harm us, plans to give us a hope and a future. We can take comfort in knowing that he will help us, knowing that we will face difficult situations and we will experience rejection and other things that doesn't feel good. But God gives us a promise by telling us that he has a plan for our lives regardless of our current situation. God sees what we do not see. He knows what we do not know, and he can work through what we must endure and persevere through to ensure that we prosper and that his will is accomplished in our lives. God tells us in Isaiah 55:8-9 that his thoughts are not our thoughts. Neither are his ways our ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are his ways higher than our ways, and his thoughts than our thoughts. We can also take comfort in this because we know that God doesn't think like us, he doesn't move like us, and he has more in store for our lives than we ever could imagine or even ask for. So when we face rejection, we must remember that God already knew that we would be rejected, and he knew how it would make us feel. However, he still has a plan for our lives, and he knows how to get us from one step to the next. But more importantly, God sees the big picture and not just the right now picture. He has a full view of our entire lives, right down to the tiniest detail. He knows every tear we will cry, every hurt or pain we will experience, and every win we will have. He is with us through it all, and that's why we must trust him with every aspect of our lives, even the things that hurt us the most and the things that seek to destroy our hearts, our minds, bodies, and souls. We must do what it says in Proverbs 3:5-6, which is trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct our paths. So, whatever you're in, whatever adversity comes your way, and whatever rejection you have experienced, are experiencing, or will experience, remember that God has you, he loves you, he knows you, and he can turn things around in a way that blows your mind. Rejoice in that and who God is and who he will continue to be in your life, and know that no matter what it looks like right now in this moment, no matter what it has been looking like in your life, God still has a plan, and he will cause you to triumph. No matter who rejects you, no matter what comes your way, God has your back. He has you. So trust him, rejoice in that, and know that God is good and he is faithful. All right, y'all. I hope this message blesses you and meets you at your point of need. I've dropped some scriptures for you in the comments. And as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Peace and love. It's your girl, Dr. J.